Welcome to the channel. Today we have a big box. In this big box is this thing. In this box we have this great big windmill, and we have a heap of blades to pick up the wind and charge a battery. So I have a solar panel on my roof here, and it runs a couple of inverters. Sorry, no it doesn't. It runs my battery charger, which then I use to reduce the amount of electricity I actually draw out of the grid and just make life a little bit easier in that regard. So just to add to the charging capabilities I've got, I'm just going to add this small wind turbine to the outside of the shed. So I figured we'd put it together today. It even has pretty pictures on how to put it together. See how well they translate this time. So I'm not going to rinse and repeat. I have three vanes on this one. Put those over there, out the way for now. What else have we got in here? Oh, a broken bag full of bits. Excellent. There's a couple of brackets here for the mounts. I think this is a controller. Pretty. So I'm assuming the red from here goes to the green from here, and then I get 12 volts out of that, I assume. So there's a few bags of bolts and nuts and bolts and stuff here to put it all together with. One broken bag for washers and a couple of other bits. I don't know if it's a broken bag or it's a bag that's fallen apart. Wonder how many things I've lost from that broken bag. There only seems to be washers and a couple of Allen keys there. Right, not going to need that for a little while, so I'll just put that to one side for now. So these are brackets that hold it between this part of it and the actual wind vanes. So this is a vertical axis wind turbine, which just takes up a little less space where I am on the outside of the shed. It just makes it a little easier to get to. That also means I can, so the advantage of the vertical axis turbines is that they pick up wind from pretty much any direction without you having to move the actual turbine or point it into the wind, because it doesn't matter which way the wind's coming from, it'll just pick it up. So all I've got to do is grab something to sit this on, because that's, I don't want to hit on the end of that anywhere. So I might just grab a couple of bricks on here to sit that on. There we go. So as you can see, this will just spin when the wind blows it. And the other thing I've just realised is that when I put these on, I'm going to have to put it up a bit higher, because you can see the height of these. Oh no, that'll actually go just there. A bit hard to see. So all else fails, let's read the instructions. You can see pretty much in that picture what it's going to look like when it's built. Obviously I didn't get the pretty coloured one, I just got the white one. So I'll start by putting the brackets on here. I have obviously 6 of these, 2 for each vane, and these just mount onto there, and then the vane will mount onto there. So each of the screws has a lock washer on it. So we start them off by hand so that I don't strip the thread if I use the drill. It spins really freely. Another turbine that I looked at making a long time ago, which was out of a Fisher & Paykel washing machine. I've got that around somewhere. I'll bring that out of retirement and put it up somewhere just to show it. You can see how it's all been rewired from a washing machine. A lot of off-gridders use them. The earlier ones were a really good generator. The later ones weren't so good. Not that they made bad power or anything, it's just the earlier ones had heavier windings which literally made more power. But they didn't spin as freely either. You have to do some interesting modification to make them spin really well. The problem with finding somewhere for this to go here is just the fact that it's a fairly there's lots of trees around, so I've only got 1 or 2 spots I can really put this up. So the fact that I'm using the vertical turbine is a lot better, because then the wind swirls around a lot more. Obviously, being in suburbia, that also makes it swirl a bit more. That's the great thing about using a vertical turbine, is it doesn't matter which way the wind comes from, it'll fire up. Now, this will be fun. These ones I've got to mount upside down. Or do I? Oh no. Great when you get one that doesn't seem to want to line up. That'd be because there's 2 different types, and I didn't realise. Did I read the instructions? Where are they on the instructions? No, it didn't highlight this. There you go. As you can see on this, there's 2 different angles on the cutouts for the plastic. So the broader one, which is this one, goes on the top, and this one with the slightly narrower one goes on the bottom. Right, let's try that again. There we go, now things line up. Amazing. this Lego set doesn't come with proper instructions. How rude, I had to figure it out myself. Let's take 2 done on the bottom one. Now just going to put the last one into the top. Alright, that's the last one of those done. Now, I know we're all, as you know, a lot of mechanics will know, got all these parts left over. I'm hoping I'm not supposed to use them somewhere, because there's a lot of parts. Happy if they've given me extras. Time for power tools. Alright, that's the arms put on. Now it's time to put the actual blades on. Just move everything across a little bit so you can actually see what I'm doing. So we have another pile of nuts and bolts here. Oh, sorry, just another pile of bolts. So I've had to loosen off this adjuster up under here, and then I'll allow this to move back and forth so that I can align these on the between the top and bottom. Just lining these up again by hand, and these ones have actually got a plastic bolt hole, so I really don't want to strip them out. So I've dropped the adjusting bracket at the top. That's down as far as it'll go. Now we'll just pop the bolts in. See how they go. Alright, as same as last time, I started them off by hand and I'll just finish getting them in with the power drill. So I realised I missed a bolt. Now, so it's interesting, on the bottom ones, this one goes all the way in. This one seems to get stuck on the outside, so maybe they may have had a moulding issue there. So now I've just got to tighten this nut up here, up. Alright, well that spins nice and freely. So what I'm going to try and do now is spin this whole thing around so I can get to the wiring that's there. See if I can hook up the controller thing to it and see if I actually get some power out of it. Make sure that's going to spin freely again. Very easily. That's good. Unfortunately, there's no instructions with this particular part of it, so I'm guessing as to where the loom's going to come out and which way around it's wired, because there's no numbering or anything like that on there. The ones on the controller have a little bit more, at least they're actually kind of aligned, as in just the way they come out of the bucket there. So it's, 1, 2, 3 as such. Hopefully we'll see what happens. I just got this little terminal block here, so I'm just going to use that to join the wiring up to. So you can see the wiring coming out of the bottom of the generator down here, and then I've got the wiring here for the controller. I'm just going to do my best and just follow the line across from here on the machine. It's on the unit itself. It might have some smarts in the controller that just figures out where everything is, or it might not even matter. As you can see, there's a bit of power coming out of it. Obviously it needs to spin a bit faster to get the full 12 volts out that I need, but hopefully once I actually mount it up, we'll get it up. Okay, so I know I keep talking about putting the windmill on the outside of the shed. It's sitting here, obviously you can't see it in the camera now, but the other thing I also want to be able to do with it is possibly consider taking it camping with me. So what I thought I'd do is try and mount it on this old telescope tripod that I've got. So I'm going to have to drill a few holes in there. To the bottom of the windmill's got some mounting holes to go on a normal standoff, and then it's also got this massive plate. So what I'm thinking is I'll drill some holes in this, and then put this up under here, and it can bolt up with some long bolts into the bottom of the windmill. This will go up the length of the feet. So the feet that you can see here, so these legs, these will actually extend out, so then it should sit up about this high off the ground, and then the windmill can sit up on top of that and get properly tied down somehow. Not the windmill, this will get tied down somehow. So this will then be a supplement to the solar power that I've got for when I go camping, and it'll just give me a bit of extra backup power. So what I'll do, I'll just mark these holes roughly on here somewhere, so then I can drill the holes as close as I can to where they're going to be when I need to do it, when I need to bolt it up. The only problem is, of course, I've got 4 holes and 3 legs, so nothing's going to line up perfectly the way I want it to go. And the holes are right on the edge of the tripod stand as well. So I'll draw a pilot hole for these. Alright, we'll see what happens when we put the big hole through. So there's lots of 8mm bolts here. That's what I'm going to use. So I'll just try and put like a 9mm hole through, just so I've got a bit of extra play there. Alright, well, that was a bit messy, but all done. I'll just grab the vacuum cleaner and clean out the mess that I've just made everywhere. So one of the holes went through the whole thickness of the tripod, which is okay. So that'll be the strongest mounting hole. Hopefully I've got enough meat on the other ones and enough alignment on the holes to make them work. So we'll throw it on there and see what happens. So obviously with the wiring for the windmill here, I'm going to have to put some quick release connectors on there, because I'm going to be taking it on and off if I'm going to be moving it around like this. So that'll be a later job. The tripod's not quite straight, so that's why it's looking like it's on a bit of an angle there. That's okay. So I'll grab some nuts and bolts out and see if I've bought the right size bolts to make this work, if I can get the holes to line up. Because there was a bit of movement going on there. It spins too freely, so I can't actually get the base to spin, which is what I'm trying to get it to do. There we go. Well, I wasn't sure about the length of the bolt that I was buying, but they've turned out to be perfect. Alright, 3 more bolts. Let's see how we go with the alignment for those ones. Let's see if I get 4 from 4 here. Probably just jinxed myself by saying that, haven't I? There we go. Bit of a wiggle, but it's in. Alright, there you go. Sitting on there. That spins quite nicely. That spins very well. Hopefully it spins quite nicely in a nice light breeze too. Alright, so the only other thing I'm going to check while I'm here, which I can't, well actually I kind of can. So it's got a set of little brackets there that hold the legs out, but there's normally a little tray that sits in there. So I'm not sure how far I can get those legs out before they're going to start touching the blades. So I kind of need to find that tray, or I can just put the legs in at a slightly closer angle, and then I'll just have to tie it down. But I'll see if I can get a bolt to fit through all of that. I'm sure I can find one in my box of spare parts here, especially from the supplier, because they gave me so many spare parts here. Alright, so this is the plate that I'm talking about. There's one on each leg. I'm just going to see if I can make these meet up a little bit to make it nice and stable. Got two to line up. Just need this third one, yeah. Now I'm just wondering if the bolt that I've got the right size or not. It might be too big. Yeah, it is. Now I'm looking at that going, I wonder if that's going to be too narrow a gap, but I don't know where the plate is, so I'll just have to deal with that. But like I said, I'll probably tie it down anyway. I was thinking I could just elongate the holes, but I think the problem with doing that sometimes is that the drill bit decides to go for a bit of a walk, and then it just rips the metal to pieces rather than it actually working. Alright, so after a bit of digging around in the spare parts box, I found a couple of washers. The lock washers are from the parts that were supplied with the Windmill, and a nut and bolt, and we'll put them in. Now it's probably a little smaller than I'd probably like, but that's what I've got, and that's how big the holes are, so that's what we're going with. Alright, that's done up. I'm just going to back it off so then I can pull the legs out to the maximum they'll go. Alright, now I'll do it up tight, and then I'll extend the legs and see how much more height I can get out of this. Alright, so I'll just do the top brackets up. They're not actually on camera. Alright, then I'll loosen the bottom ones off. And of course one hasn't come out with it. Alright, and I can't actually get back far enough to show you how tall that is, but it's taller than me. So that's good. I'm happy with that. That'll be a nice little camping addition. Then I've just got to make some quick release wiring for the wires down the bottom there. And enjoy. And with this still spinning in the workshop here, I'll just finish this video off. I've got to do some work outside to figure out where it's actually going to go. It will actually mount on the side of the shed somewhere. I've just got to put some bracketing up to make sure it's not going to fall off and all that sort of stuff. And then once I've got it up there, I'll do some work around seeing how much power I'm getting out of it. Thanks for watching. Give it a like. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.